This is the Anthurium radicans luxurians. It's in a no drainage container and it's currently in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. It has quickly outgrown this glass vessel. As you can see, there is just a ton of roots throughout the entire container, and then all the new growth is coming in smaller, so it's telling me that this pot is very limiting to the growth of the roots and the plant. So the goal for today is to take it out of this container, put it in something a little bit larger, but I also want to show how to propagate by division as well as stem cuttings. Sometimes an anthurium will have multiple stems in one pot. You can see this right here is the original stem. I'm pretty sure it only had one stem when I potted it up in this container, and then you can see there's a smaller side branch over here. Now this means that at some point one of these lower nodes was activated. Now whether that is if you take like a top cutting, so if you chop the top off here, it's going to activate nodes lower in the stem, or sometimes it'll do it naturally just kind of by itself and it'll produce a side growth. And for whatever reason, this one is always putting out inflorescences or these little flowers. Now, I don't know if that's because it's stressed out, because it's in a pot that is too small, but yeah, this one has flowered multiple times, and this is what they look like. And then here's another one back here as well. That's another way to propagate an anthurium, is to pollinate it, and then eventually you'll get little berries, and then those berries will have seeds inside of it, and then you can propagate new plants by that. But it's a very long process, and I won't be doing it in this video. So the first thing I have to do is take this out of the glass container. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get my knife down here. This thing is just like jam-packed in here. I don't want to break the glass because I want to reuse it for when I separate it, but I'm not putting too much pressure on the side here because I don't want it to shatter. I just switched the camera angle just so you can see what I'm doing here, but I came around my little workshop table and I misplaced my little butter knife. So I've been looking for it for the last 2 minutes, and then I realized it's stuck in the pot here. So I'm just going around the container, just kind of loosening it up a little bit. It looks like it's coming apart or just loosening up on the top half. So I've been kind of tipping it upside down here as well, holding the stem and then kind of pounding it like a ketchup bottle. Hopefully it loosens up a little bit. Oops, I think I just broke a little aerial root. Okay, there it comes. Ooh. Okay, and there we go. I saved the container. This thing is just packed with roots. So now I have to take apart these roots. I'm going to try and save as much as I can because I don't want the plant to go into shock, but I want to kind of chisel away enough to see where the smaller stem branches out from, just because I'm curious to see how it's attached as well. So I'm going to get my pencil, which is right here, and I'm just going to start picking away at the bottom of the roots. Hopefully all this leca will just fall right out, and then I can reuse it again. Whoop, one went flying over there. Okay, that's the thing that I absolutely hate about leca, is when you like pouring it in a container, or if you're dismantling a root system like this and it just goes on the floor. You'll never find it. It'll roll on into the corner or behind something, and it'll be lost forever. This anthurium in particular, in my experience so far, has been really easy to grow. Right now it's in the cabinet, which is getting higher humidity. It has a little fan for circulation, but I actually had this one out just in the open here as well, and it did extremely well in just regular house conditions. So this is one that really doesn't need that high humidity like some other anthuriums and even alocasias do. So, oops, there goes more leca. So if you're looking for an easygoing anthurium, definitely give this one a try. It has really thick, kind of plastic type leaves, and it reminds me a lot of the Monstera Peru, which this, in my opinion, is much easier to grow. One technique that I'll show here real quick, and that's the reason why I like using this pencil, is when you have a hard section like this, and you're picking away from the bottom, I like to just push the pencil in like that and just kind of pull down lightly. So it's going to loosen up the soil, but it's also going to loosen up the roots. Okay, I got it all untangled, and for the most part it went really well with minimal root damage. Like there are some smaller ones here, but the majority of the root ball is intact. Now I'm going to try and get in here as best as I can. Where it attaches to the plant, to the main plant, is just in this clump of roots. So there's a couple, like right down there is where it is attached. So there's two ways you can do this. One, you can take either pruning shears or a utility knife and slice it at the point, like somewhere in here. And of course you're going to break roots, but you can't avoid that. The other way, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get there in any closer, but the other way is you can simply try and pull them apart. So you'll probably hear an initial like snap. So there, it snapped, and then you can just pull it away. So right here, you can see that's the portion that was attached to the mother plant, and that is right here. So it did branch out basically at the bottom of the stem. Now you have two separate plants. It's probably better to just pull them apart, because not only do you limit the root damage, but you also, like if you were to cut all these roots while you're cutting the main portion of the stem, you're just leaving that area open to bacteria, fungal stuff. So less chance of the plant rotting or getting some bacteria or a fungal issue there with the soil. So now I have my two separate cuttings. I'm going to pot this one up in a larger pot, and then I'm going to place this one back in the no drainage container, and I'm going to be putting this back into the cabinet. Now I'm not going to do it on this plant, but if you wanted even more cuttings, if you wanted multiple plants for one plant, you can do a stem cutting. So the first process was division. It was propagating by division because you're pulling it apart. The second one is by stem cuttings. Now you can see there is a layer of roots coming from these nodes kind of along the lower portion of the stem. Now if I took my utility knife and sliced it up right in between these nodes, this top section would have a bit of roots, so it would continue to root and grow from the top. And the lower portion, so if you take the top off, this lower portion, the stump with the roots, it will activate nodes. You will probably get multiple growth points from that stump. So you could easily make this into two separate plants. I'm just going to push this aside a little bit. That's exactly what I did with an Anthurium clarinervium. It wasn't growing very well for me, so here is the original like stump portion of it. And I don't know if you can see, but right here, just off to the side, that is a growth point, and there is another growth point just at the very top. So this one is getting 2 growth points. I'm just going to put that back in my little perlite prop box. And then these I just took as bare stem cuttings. So here's the stem. It has developed some roots on the side, and now it has activated a node lower. Looks like another one coming in there, but now it has this cute little leaf. So I'm going to put that in back there as well. So all 3 cuttings that I took from this plant, and I just laid the bare stem on its side. It started to push out roots, and then it's pushing out a new growth point, and it's already got a leaf. So that is how you propagate by stem cutting. And I just use, this is just like a takeout container with perlite in it. Now you want to make sure that there's no standing water at the bottom of the pot, but I will soak I will add water into this container, and then I will drain it out. So you don't ever want dry perlite. You want it to remain wet or damp, but no standing water at the bottom. And then I just put the lid on, and then I just keep it under a grow light, and you can see there is a lot of condensation, so it's getting 100% humidity in this container, and probably in, I'd say maybe like 2-3 weeks, you should start to see some roots and even some new leaves or growth points. And then I have my Barena grow shelf, which I will just place it like that, and I'll just leave it be. For a minute there, I was just kind of half thinking about doing a little bit of a root prune, but I think I'm gonna leave it for now. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of soil at the bottom, and then I'm just going to push this, basically jam it in like that, and then I'm just gonna add the soil into the pot. And then use my pencil to kind of just poke it down around the roots. The whole process itself actually went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to end up with a ton of broken roots or not much roots left just because of how packed in it was. So I want this to be seated a little bit lower as well, just so it will give the chance for the aerial roots higher up on the stem to root into the soil as well, and then I can just continue that propagation process. So if I want to chop the top off, at least it'll have its own root system down the road where I can continue to multiply this plant into multiple plants. So I'm going to put the soil like right up to the top of the container, and then just so you can see here what I'm talking about, all of these roots higher up on the stem will grow into the soil. Maybe not the top ones, but the ones that are in contact with soil will grow soil roots. They'll grow down in, and then eventually you can maybe chop somewhere up here, take the top cutting, and then you can again have a stump that you can repot, or just leave it in the pot and it will activate nodes, and then you can take the top cutting and pot it up in its own pot as well. You can put these on a moss pole. Those aerial roots will grow into a moss pole, and then you can just chop the top off as it continues to grow. That's another option you can do as well. I have a couple anthuriums on moss poles, and yeah, I haven't done the chop and prop yet, but at some point I'll have to chop them up and then you'll have more cuttings. Okay, maybe a couple more. I'm not gonna water this one right now just because I did give it a pretty good soaking in the glass vessel a couple days ago, just in kind of preparation for this video. So you can shake it, you can use a pencil to kind of poke down all the soil around the roots. If you want to grow roots along this portion of the stem, like as it continues to grow, you can use pot extenders. I like to use just old pots sitting around the house, cut a slit kind of in the side, and then you can wrap the pot around the stem and then just fill the top of the pot with soil, and it's just an extension of the pot, so a little pot extender. That's an easy way to get roots higher up on the stem as well. I'm just going to add some at the bottom here, and then I'm going to add, oops, probably can't see what I'm doing. Move that out of the way. And now I'm going to put this one pretty low like that, because I want this portion of the stem to be in the pot like that. That is pretty much all you have to do for the separation or division process, and then the stem cutting method. Two very easy ways to propagate an anthurium. So something like that. I might add a little bit more soil, just like that. And then as it continues to grow, I can add more soil and just kind of follow that stem as it grows up, and then you'll have some soil roots down the roads. So here are the two separate plants, and like I said, I'm going to water it probably in a couple days, but I think that's going to be pretty much it for this video. I hope it helped you with understanding how to propagate an anthurium, or even just how it grows and divides. So if you have any other questions, please leave it down below in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks again for watching my videos. I do appreciate all the support. Take care, everyone. Bye.